I started in Albania. I was born in Tirana, the capital city, and it was just my mother and I. I was about 3 years old when we left as refugees, and I lived in Budapest from there. That's our first stop. Then Vienna in Austria, then Michigan, and then Los Angeles. But
Okay.
I've spent more time in LA than anywhere else in the world, so I do consider myself more of an Angelino.
Okay. What was going on in Albania at the time to cause refugees? Was the U.S. doing some bombing there? What was happening?
No, the U.S. was not bombing.
Okay.
This particular moment in my life, I think, impacted me more than anything, any other experience I've had. And I've had the vicissitudes, ups and downs in my life, and this particularly defined me. So we were refugees. My mother had one dream, and that dream was to be an American. And she wanted to take her daughter there. And this is at the time during communism, during the crumbling of the walls. To say you wanted to be an American and bring your daughter there to be an actress was similar to saying, I'm going to the moon. So nobody believed her. And the doors were finally opened for one embassy. The Hungarian embassy opened their doors. And that was her opportunity. And actually, her journey is quite phenomenal. At 28 years old, 29, she went into the embassy doors. She had me in her arms. And actually, she was run over by a car about a year before. So she was in crutches. So she was recovering from that, and she told the guard, she said, look over there. Do you see? I think someone's trying to get your attention. Can you see him? And he turned around, and she ran into the embassy.
Wow.
Because even though they had opened the doors symbolically, there was no way to enter as an Albanian. So that's where we started. And we took one bus with 30 other refugees. And this particular moment here is what really defined me. In that bus, there were foreigners that weren't Albanian. And I later found out when I was about 10 years old, my mom told me, she said those foreigners were American volunteers because there was a threat to bomb the bus. And that threat came from the Albanian government because we were considered traitors. We left the country. You can't leave the country. And they were American volunteers who sat by the window to protect us in case there was a bombing on the bus. Complete strangers from a different end of the world with different cultures and different expectations in life. And they volunteered for us. And from that moment, I was dedicated to philanthropy because I felt if I was saved from philanthropy, what kind of person, what kind of human being could I be if I couldn't contribute for the rest of my life to make up for this life that potentially that I was saved from. So yeah, that was it. That was our journey. Then we stayed in Budapest for about a year and Vienna for another year and a half. I learned each language out of necessity. My mom told me, if you're in the country, you owe them the credit to learn their language and to learn their culture and respect them in that way. You're their guest, and I absorbed it completely. Eventually, we came to Michigan. My great uncle lived in Macomb, Michigan. He was a colonel in the Army. He was a doctor, and he sponsored our trip. So immediately, I was introduced to the American dream and the promises that we could aspire to. So that's where I started. And then LA. I was discovered by, I think this could keep going.
What are you doing next? Going to Mars or something?
Ideally, no.
There's a lot of pretty incredible things happening to you along the way. Well, let me ask, why did your mother have dreams of America? Because I'm guessing when she grew up in Albania, kind of behind the Iron Curtain, the wall came down in '89 in Berlin, right? So then things slowly started opening up, and you left there around 90 or in the early 90s, you left Albania, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why she was always fascinated, or that was a goal?
She was, the older I get, the more I realize I could never match her in her courage. I can't. She was her own species of a woman, and she defined her own rules, and she was unapologetic about her dream. And that was her dream. And if you told her she couldn't go to Mars, she would find a way to get to Mars. Unfortunately for me, I'm more, practical. I can't find those big aspirations, but she could. So she's been inspiring me my entire life. I mean, like you said, the walls crumbled and the country imploded. It was anarchy.
Because it was part of Yugoslavia, and then it broke down into all these other small countries, right? And each one had their own religions, fiefdoms, histories.
That's right.
And they shouldn't have even maybe necessarily been one country in the first place. So it was probably very chaotic times.
And what's heartbreaking is we have so many beautiful traditions as Albanians that we're still trying to repair. We're still trying to define our identity here and in the global world, in the global environment. But it's such a beautiful country, and the language is beautiful, and the people are so gentle. They're gentle souls, And I just wish the rest of the world could just see this more and more. And I think we're trying. We're building it. We're building our identity again because we completely lost it. We built it from the ground up.
Yeah, I think a lot of the countries in former Yugoslavia are still struggling, whether it's Serbia, Montenegro, a lot of these countries, trying to find their identity and who they are.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's a strange situation. That whole country had a strange history. And so, it makes sense that was happening. Do you get to go back?
So I've been back twice. I came back and I visited Pogradec, which is another city within Albania that I'm familiar with through my ancestry. I visited Pogradec and I visited Tirana, the capital that I was born in. And one particular part of my life was I visited Albania for a film that I did, Time of the Comet. It was a completely Albanian film. They needed it in a specific dialect that I wasn't familiar with, but I learned over the summer. And I spent 3 months in the Balkans, in Skopje, Macedonia, and a bit in Albania. And the second time was I was an ambassador for a charity, the World Assembly of Youth. And we held our conference in Tirana. And that, again, stepping onto that platform, it felt like home. The air felt familiar.
Okay,
and I don't
even
know
though you
why.
were so small.
I was so small.
Do you remember anything from there?
I remember raspberries and I remember the bus.
The bus, yeah. Probably because there was so many emotions happening around with you that you probably remember that.
There's actually a YouTube video. I can't find it now. I can't locate it anymore. But there's a video of my mom and I coming off the bus, her holding me in her arms.
Really?
And then I lost the link.
Okay. From like some news broadcast.
Some news archival, something. Yeah.
Okay. Continue watching this fascinating conversation for free by clicking on the link below to visit our website, learn from the best minds in the world, and connect with a community of passionate people building the best versions of themselves. Just click on the link below, and I'll see you on the inside.